a meme has gotten loose on this planet that is the social equivalent of cancer, in my opinion. And what it is it's capitalism. Capitalism does not serve human beings. It serves itself in the same way that cancer does not serve a human being. It serves itself. What I mean by this is it fetishizes objects, and it tries to tell you that certain objects will make you happy if you can possess them. Well, then you work very hard to possess them, but then you're not happy. At the same time, it is raising these expectations in the hearts and minds of millions and millions of people that it knows it can't deliver to. If you cut all the rainforests and dug all the metals, you couldn't deliver the middle-class American lifestyle to the population of the planet, and the effort to do so would wreck the entire ecological system. So capitalism either has to transform itself from within, because no human being or institution can oppose it, or there has to come some force from the outside which will break it down. I don't know what that could be, unless it would be a revulsion over what the cost of practicing capitalism is. In other words, if we could create, and this is a job for media. The media has basically turned itself to the capitalist agenda and knows no way out. The media in the naive era, before all this stuff was figured out, was assumed to educate and inform the citizens so that rational decisions could be made. That's not what it's about now. Now it's to distort, manipulate, delude, and mislead. What is needed is a rediscovery of inner wealth. The reason people fetishize objects is because they have no accessible dimension of inner worth. They feel worthless without the Ferrari and the Cuisinart and whatever this object is that they're into, are shabby stuff compared to the inner wealth of your own imagination. But unless you know that, you will always want after that stuff. So my hope is less interest in material possessions.
Money is a precursor of information. You know, it was very mysterious in the Middle Ages when people began to actually study money for the first time, to think, because the Jews had been allowed to handle money, but interest was considered a sin. It was usury, sin of usury. And then in the Middle Ages, when the bourgeois middle class began to form in urban centers of Europe, they realized that money had this mysterious property, that it would grow, that it would create more of itself without anybody doing anything. And, you know, some people thought this was divine, and some people thought it was demonic, and people were very puzzled by this quality of money. What money is a symbolic commodification of value. Information is somehow the cousin of money. Yes, essentially, in an information economy, everyone is selling intelligence, not in the sense of IQ, but in the sense of central intelligence agency. In other words, people are selling what they know that you don't, that you need to know to do something. It's the only kind of economy where capitalism has a future, unless something quite radical happens, because one of the requirements of capitalism is an ever-expanding frontier of exploitable natural resources. Well, certainly the process of changing ignorance into understanding is an infinite frontier. You can mine that mountain range for generations and never make a dent. In fact, understanding is probably infinite. And since most of it remains at this point in time unelucidated, the task of intelligent life seems to be to organize inchoate nature into an understood phenomenon.
We have real problems, and I have never heard a plan for pulling back from the abyss that had less coercion and less ideological freight to it than this one woman, one child thing. You see, it doesn't address politics. It addresses biology. It is overpopulation is what's driving us crazy. All other problems, toxic waste disposal, epidemic disease, resource extraction, degradation of the environment, collapse of the atmosphere, all of these problems are population problems. And capitalism doesn't want to talk about it because capitalism is not a human being. Capitalism is a Moloch, a god, a god of bloody sacrifice that sees human beings as ants. And the more ants there are, the more offerings there can be to Moloch. But this is not a good situation for us ants. Capitalism is a gun pointed at the head of global civilization. If you read the theoreticians of capitalism, Adam Smith and so forth, capitalism assumes an unlimited exploitable frontier. There is no such creature. So it has turned pathological. The only frontier now left to exploit is not a frontier in space, but a frontier in time. We steal the future from our children by plunging massively deeper and deeper into debt. But this frontier, the end is in sight. And when we hit that wall, we will join the Eastern Bloc in a fundamental reappraisal of our situation.